Aman and Ling are married and sitting at the kitchen table with their mortgage broker, Alan. They are completing a first home owner grant application.
Oh, thanks for the tea, Ling. Do you guys know anything about the first homeowner grant?
I know we can apply to receive a grant because we're buying our first new home, and it's available for properties purchased up to certain values.
If the value of your new home exceeds the cap amounts, you will be unable to apply for the grant.
You're right, Alan, but I need to check if you're planning to live in your new home for at least 6 continuous months, starting within 12 months of purchasing the home. You're not planning to rent it out, are you?
No, definitely not. We're planning to raise our family here.
Great. So let's get started. You're both definitely over 18. Were either of you born overseas?
Yes, I was born in Canada, but I've lived here most of my life and I've permanent residency. I did live in Sydney for 3 years with my ex though.
Okay. I'll need a copy of your passports today. So can you grab those for me?
I can photocopy them for you now if you like. It won't take long.
Great. But make sure the copies are clear enough to read. While Ling is getting the passport copies, I'd better use the checklist at the back of the form to make sure I have all the documents I need from you guys. You wanted to apply through the bank, right?
Is there any difference whether the bank does it or we submit it ourselves?
Well, if you apply through the bank, you don't need as much documentation compared to applying directly through RevenueWA. But if you need the grant for settlement, go through your bank.
Let's do it through the bank then. What were you saying about the checklist?
I'm just using the checklist to make sure we don't miss anything. Otherwise, it could be delayed.
Good idea. The sooner we can get it, the better.
Now, there are some important criteria, and to be eligible, you both need to be able to truthfully answer yes to all the questions. Read them carefully, and if you're not sure about anything, just ask me. I'll give you both some time to answer the questions. So you've read the questions carefully and answered truthfully. If you'd answered no to any of the questions, you may not have been entitled to the grant. Ling, I just want to confirm that you didn't own a house with your ex in New South Wales?
No, my ex owned it.
It might be worth doing a check anyway. In WA, you would check with Landgate, but since this was in Sydney, you can check with their New South Wales equivalent. Sometimes people's partners put them on the title without them realising.
Fair enough. I don't want to get into trouble.
Now, I already have a copy of your contract and your marriage certificate, so I can tick that off the checklist. Right, Section 7 isn't relevant because you're both applying for the grant. So I just need you both to sign the declaration in Section 6. Again, make sure you read it carefully. There are heavy penalties for providing false or misleading information, and we don't want you having to repay the grant. Just to let you know, RevenueWA checks to make sure that you meet the residential requirements I mentioned earlier, and that you've not owned and occupied a home and received the grant before. If your circumstances change, get in touch with RevenueWA straight away.
Alan, I noticed the front of the form says we may be eligible for the first homeowner rate of duty. What's that?
Well, if you're eligible for the grant, you may qualify for the first homeowner rate of duty. That's true even for people who would have got the first homeowner grant if it was still around for existing homes. The first homeowner rate of duty is a discount rate for transfer duty, and it could save you a fair bit of money. I'll send you a link to a video that explains it in more detail.
That'd be brilliant. What happens now, Alan?
Well, the bank will lodge your application on your behalf. You'll get an email from RevenueWA letting you know whether your application was approved or not.
Thank you, Alan. You've been so helpful.
You can follow the progress of your application using the Status Enquiry Facility located on the wa.gov.au website. The website also has a helpful property purchaser's decision tool, which helps you understand any grants or concessions you may be eligible for, or any taxes you may be liable for when buying property. For more information on the First Homeowner Grant or the First Homeowner Rate of Duty, check out our overview and residence requirements videos, also on our YouTube channel.